New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Welcome to Ministers Talking a weekly program where Rev BRZ and Rev Z and their guests chat about current affairs, world events, spiritual principles, and any old they want to talk about. Based on the New Thought philosophy and ancient wisdoms, Ministers Talking shares a visionary perspective of the evolving spiral called spiritual living. Join us each week as we explore the emerging paradigm of life on planet Earth and beyond.
And good morning, dear ones. Rev BRZ with you over here.
Rev Z right here.
And we're a couple of ministers talking shit. This happens every Friday morning here at 7 a.m. on the Mountain Time Zone and on the New Thought Media Network. And if you're new to our program, if it's your first time watching, well, welcome, welcome, welcome. What we attempt to do here each Friday is take a look at some of the current events, current stories, current news experiences, and make some spiritual sense out of some of this stuff. So we're going to dive right in today. This is a story that's happened after we went off the air yesterday, last Friday. Happened last Friday night in Houston, Texas. There are now 9 people dead. Another woman lost her life yesterday. And if you're not aware, we're talking about the Astro Fest in Houston, with which is a festival put on annually. This is not the first one, put on by a rapper named Travis Scott. Drake was there also, other artists. And I'm going to tell you, Z, I watched a bunch of the footage of the problems and the timeline. If there was ever the definition of a real shit show, this was it.
Wow.
And there's people saying, don't blame Travis Scott and this and that. There's a lot here. I don't know if you've been following this story at all.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of the film, and I spent a lot of time in Houston, so it definitely caught my attention. And when you look at a place like that where you get 50,000 people in it, and you just got those little bike stand barricades and people have been cooped up, if you will, because of all of the health virus stuff going. It's a recipe for some serious considerations because people are going to be excited. And we have to start planning these things better, because we know just from the shootings that we've had at concerts like this and things that security and exit plans and all that has to be extremely tight.
Yes. I heard statements that, well, nobody had a plan for a crowd surge. Like, well, we all know what those are. And I can't wait for somebody to say, well, it's a staffing issue. There just weren't enough people taking jobs. Because the problems stem in a lot of different areas. Firstly, if you're an artist and you have a 50,000 person crowd and you look up from your song and there's an ambulance trying to drive through the crowd, you might think something's wrong. And you might want to stop everything.
Yeah.
Until that is, but he didn't. He looks around and says, "What the is that?" and realizes there's an ambulance in the crowd and does absolutely nothing about it. And this concert continued for 30 plus minutes beyond the time when the Houston Police Department classified it as a mass casualty incident.
Wow.
So somebody official said this is a mass casualty incident here, and they continued to allow the concert to proceed for another 37 minutes.
Yeah, we we are the home of capitalism. I get it. But we have to begin to draw a much broader line and not a thin line between when is capitalism detrimental to society, and not just in this concert. I mean, in a lot of different ways, and begin to figure out how do we, start putting some boundaries around these things so that they don't get out of hand and they don't create, now we have, going into the holiday season, we got 9 families that are going to be, grieving. I mean, the last young lady was a 22-year-old engineering student at Texas A&M, which means she was about to graduate.
Mm-hmm.
Had all her dreams and hopes in front of her, and now that's gone.
Was a 16-year-old in this the people, a 14-year-old.
Wow,
lost their lives in this. I think it's more than capitalism. Like, we get that, folks, right? He needs Travis. Well, maybe he doesn't need to make money, but the camera operators and the venue operators, and it seems like maybe we're rushing a little bit too much to try to get back to what we were. And there's another example of this in the news this week. I want to bring this one up. If you haven't been following the story with Aaron Rodgers and his vaccine, whatever, he made a statement this week. The great MLK said, "You have a moral obligation to object to unjust rules and rules that made no sense." Not sure if that's a typo as I swiped this meme off the internet, or if that's how he actually said it. But whoever created this responded with a couple of true MLK quotes. Every man must decide whether he will walk in the light of creative altruism or in the darkness of destructive selfishness. And to me, that is what we're looking at here, both in the Aaron Rodgers experience and in the Travis Scott in this concert experience. And another MLK, nothing in all the world is more dangerous than sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity. A white guy co-opting a black man's, and a well-revered black man, a white guy co-opting a black guy, using a black guy's words to justify why he wants to be a selfish asshole.
It's a brazen statement for him to make, and brazen comparison for him to make, to compare himself to someone who, we don't know what he would say if he was here. But given that he was a humanitarian of sorts, if you will, I'm pretty sure his attention would be on the humanitarian side of this, which is take care, get vaccine so that we can preserve lives. I mean, right here in Colorado, who've been up and down, right now, the numbers are going back up.
Yeah.
The hospitals are full. Now they're getting ready to, because people are, I don't know if they're getting lax or they're not taking it, advantage of precautions to get the thing. I'm almost at a loss for words. And Aaron Rodgers has just sunk to the lowest of the list on my football list, for sure. I mean, because that's inexcusable.
All right, I'm happy to hear that. Because, folks, you may not know, there's a huge push here in Denver to bring Aaron Rodgers to the Broncos, to Denver. Now, you all know Z is our football guy. I'm not. But even I'm aware of this. And, we traded Von Miller to get better draft picks, and we're going to trade those draft picks and this and that. And then we're putting together a package to go try to attract this guy to our city. Well, I'm sure others are asking the Denver Broncos head management this as well, and I'm sure they won't listen to us. Mm-hmm. But what do you think you're doing if you bring him here now?
Yeah.
I don't want him here. I don't want him representing this city. I don't want him representing the Colorado as a whole.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty sad, man, because, to try to use some fancy words to say he was immunized and not vaccinated, right? And then to play on that and then be so brazen to go around his teammates and as if he was and 50 some odd players, and he's in fact he's creating havoc for them and their family.
Yeah.
If I was a teammate, I'd be pissed. I'd be an offensive lineman, and I'd just say, "Oops!" Just one time. Oops, he got by me.
Bang! Yeah, let's let him knock you into the middle of next week, Aaron. Who knows? Every week we've been saying it may be the last time he plays for the Green Bay Packers, so we'll see.
Yeah.
But I want to agree and bring Linda in here for a second. Thank you for being with us this morning, Linda. Yes, selfishness in relation to COVID crosses all races. Absolutely. Neither of these stories is really about to me, the white guy co-opting MLK is a little in this case.
That's different. But in terms of COVID, I mean, we got Kyrie Irving, basketball player, Brooklyn Net. He didn't take a vaccine. They wouldn't let him in the building. And I stopped following. After that, I mean, when that kind of stuff happened, I stopped following. It's like, I can't. It doesn't make sense. And you can make them kind of statements because you got millions of dollars. You can isolate yourself. Although you can't isolate yourself from that virus, you can isolate yourself from situations.
And you might not want to listen to what the public says, but we're still going to say it.
Yeah.
Right. And again, it brings us back to that first MLK quote. Every man must decide whether he will walk in the light of creative altruism or in the darkness of destructive selfishness.
Yeah.
I forget where I'm sure it was way early in my life. It's a lot easier to tell the truth because then you don't have to keep track of it. Yep. You start telling lies, you got to start keeping track of those lies. And I think that's what happened here with Rodgers is he told a lie and he lost track of it.
Yep.
And as life continues, he loses track of it. But somebody else was paying attention. And hey, wait a minute. What do you mean? What do you mean you're not? Wait, you didn't have? And I'm sure the conversation was something like that. Wait a minute. What do you mean you're not vaccinated? And shame.
Because now they want to classify. They need to be able to classify. Is this a breakthrough case or is it just a real case?
Right. Exactly. My mind's going, shame on you, Aaron Rodgers. No prayers for you. But, that's not what we do. So we'll pray for you. But I'm going to pray you wake up. I'm going to pray that Aaron wakes up to a greater truth, to a greater sense of that altruism, of being here to be part of something bigger. Not your football team, not your bank account. To be a part of humanity and to do what's right for humanity more than your own pocketbook.
Yep.
Sorry to hear it.
It'll be. I'm the last word here. It'll be interesting to see what sponsors do with this. I mean, he's a big a State Farm. I know they made some statement, but I don't know if they're going to back away or if they're just going to let it go and make a statement and keep rolling.
I know there is one healthcare company that was a sponsor that has dropped him at this point. And he made another statement, something to the effect of the left is going to cancel me and the right is going to champion me, and I could care less about either of you. Again, another selfish statement. You should be caring about everybody that loves you, Aaron, because we're all paying your salary. But beyond that, conscientious altruism.
Yeah.
It's the word of the week.
Yep.
Or if you're part of the United States judicial system, white supremacy or white privilege might be the word of the week. A white lawyer in the Arbery case. I'm sorry, I never say his name correctly. So
no, that was correct. Ahmaud Arbery.
Ahmaud Arbery. Okay, I'm going to get that right. A white lawyer in the Ahmaud Arbery case argued to a white judge that we don't need any more black pastors or Jesse Jacksons coming in here, and implied that so that statement alone just proves that this guy doesn't know the difference between two black guys. He thinks Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson are pretty much the same. Yeah, we know where that line of thought goes. And he argues to the judge that Al Sharpton's presence supporting Arbery's family is is an attempt to influence and prejudice and intimidate the jury. So I want to ask this lawyer, how afraid do you have to be to think that a black man in a very expensive suit and very nice shoes is going to jump up and cause havoc in a courtroom? He's obviously just afraid of black people.
Or prejudice.
Or just outright prejudice.
Oh God!
All right, I was giving him a little benefit of the doubt by being fear instead of just being an a-hole. But
you know, I'm from Florida. I'm from the Panhandle of Florida, and my hometown is 30 miles, so I can be in Georgia. And if I was home, I could be in Georgia in 20 minutes, 30 minutes at the most. And I think back when I was growing up and some of the attitudes and the behaviors, to see that kind of stuff still raising its head now, half of a century later, is mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing that people still look at people and judge them and think they have a advantage over them because of the color of the skin.
Right.
And clearly, they're not used to, especially in these little small places, they're not used to outside agitators. As if in my cousin Benny, we got these agitators coming in here stirring up our people. Yeah, okay, right. It is to think that people are still stuck in that time warp and still presenting that kind of an idea is very, very sad.
Yeah, I agree with you. It is, again, this is about the point where we got to get into the prayer work. Right, we've got to get into the prayer work because this is an old belief system, and it's just, it's blatantly in our face.
Yeah.
Now, I remember hearing from Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith many years ago that he would ask his students, do you read the news? Do you read the paper? Do you watch the news? And a lot of people would say no. And he's always said, that's where the prayer request is. That's what our work is about, is praying for each and every one across this planet to awaken to their own spiritual magnificence and to a greater sense of life and purpose.
Yeah.
And those boys, those men riding around in a pickup truck with shotguns in my opinion, some prayer work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not just that begging and beseeching, oh God, please bless me and the heck with everybody else. The type of real deep, and this is just one piece of the whole puzzle, right, folks? This is across all of the United States.
Yep.
I think we all need to take a much, much deeper look at where maybe we contributed, maybe unknowingly, or where we continue to contribute to this sense of separation based on skin color. Give me a piece of wood. I'll smack myself in the head 10 or 12 times. The color of my skin will change real quick. Mm-hmm. So enough of all that.
Yeah. And it's it's amazing that with all of the advancements we've made in everything, from technology to education, and educate the implementation of it, but the access to the educational material has just skyrocketed. And to think that we still have people that are living in a time capsule, and that's okay if they want to do it. They have free choice, but to try to perpetrate that and postulatize that to everybody else that's the way it should be, now that's a whole nother story.
Right. Yeah.
Whole nother story.
So we're going to be praying for the Arbery family. We're going to be praying for every black preacher in the South to show up at this courtroom Monday. I got a feeling. I got a feeling you're going to see a wall of black ministers from every denomination.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get David Alexander in on this one. Showing up at that and showing up at that courtroom Monday morning to say this has to change.
Yep.
And this, in my opinion, this isn't even the most egregious example of white privilege on display in our judicial system this week. And that might be because I went down a rabbit hole, Z. I've been watching the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. Hours and hours of this stuff.
That must have been entertaining.
It's entertaining, I'll tell you that. Here's what I see, folks. If you think you're unbiased, you're not. And I think I don't want to try to make the judge in this case wrong. But from my perspective, sitting behind a screen, watching, listening, paying attention over time, this guy's biased. Yeah. But again, we all are. Mm-hmm. The defense is biased to get their client off, regardless of the truth. The prosecutor is biased to put this kid in jail, regardless of the truth. The judge, I think, is committed to try to find the truth, but he can't help but let his own bias in. Now, I didn't hear the joke about the Asian food, or he's made some joke about Asian food.
The judge?
I don't know. The judge. See, here's the cool part about watching these trials on YouTube. Every time somebody objects and they have to send the jury away, they still let us hear what they're arguing. Now, sometimes they turn off the mic, so we can't hear what's going on. But there's a lot of hot mic conversation going on in these videos. And again, I didn't see exactly that moment, but I have seen enough and I have heard enough from this judge that this is another example of the ego-based coming in and unbeknowingly promoting his own agenda.
Yeah, they say he made a joke about Asian food.
Yeah, I missed that, but this guy's he's argumentative.
Wow.
He's very argumentative with especially with the prosecution. Now, is the prosecution pushing some buttons, or they try to push the envelope maybe a little bit? I think so, maybe. Every day, there are countless examples here, right, that we can find where we've got to look to a higher order than just human law.
Wow. You know.
Go ahead, you find it?
Yeah, I mean, he says, I hope the Asian food isn't coming. It's one of those boats out in Long Beach Harbor, is what he said. And it says, which appeared to make reference to the supply chain backlog of impacting California ports. I mean, here's the thing.
So he's just making sound bites to get himself on the news.
Exactly. So here again, even in the judicial system, this cat, it appears that he's looking at a capitalistic benefit. There's going to be a book. There's going to be some interview circuits on whatever station want to have him. And the challenge becomes this in my mind, is that we all have our biases, our blinders on, but from the spiritual perspective, the goal is to rise above. Yeah. And you don't have that opportunity if you're wallowing in the same crap that got us in the situation. I mean, it's the classic, Einstein. You can't solve the problem at the level that you created it, right? And so we know that the white privilege and the discrimination and all of this stuff has created these blind spots, these dark holes, these out and out cavernous behaviors and policies that affect blacks and people of color. And so when you have someone who's sitting on a bench who's supposed to be able, because of his heart, because of his spirit and his education of the legal system, to rise above that, and we know it's not 100%, and it just comes out as a clown show, then we need to be checking that judge's credentials and see if we can unbench him, unseat him, whatever it is. We need to do it.
Right. Vote.
Vote.
Vote. And pay attention, right? Remember this guy's name, Kenosha?
Yeah.
When things come around to vote next time, don't just check, consider, check the judicial record. And it's unfortunate, we're going to get off topic, but they make it very difficult to really know a judge's judicial record when they send you information on how to vote for a judge, even in Colorado. And we're really open and liberal about how to get information to people for voting and mail-in voting, and we're on the top of the curve there, but we're still really behind because all these things are hidden behind laws of privacy, layers and layers and layers and layers of privacy and confidentiality. Yeah. It's really hard to know how a judge is acting and how they're ruling and where they're tending unless we pay attention to these things as they happen. And I don't know, is there really a book deal? If they find this kid innocent, let him off, and Kenosha burns to the ground? Because
it'll be a challenge, man. And, the thing is, there's always someone out there to publicize any and everything and make money off of it and capitalize. And okay, I get it. We have a system that has variant things in it, just like our body. But with the body, when it is healthy, when it is in conscientious operation of and aware of everything within it itself, it is a self-regulating system. If your body gets too hot, it starts to sweat to cool down. If your body gets too cold, it starts shivering to try to warm it up. I mean, there's systems. I mean, the nature of life is so equipped with the instructions that we need. We just don't pay attention. And so the challenge in my mind is going to be, when that kind of thing raises its head, what automatic system or part of the system will kick in to kind of squash that, bring it back into a balanced reality? I mean, of course, he'll have the opportunity and the choice to say whatever he wants to say. But when he starts trying to capitalize on it and make money off of something that could potentially cause tons of problems, then I would beg to take a different approach.
There's a piece in my mind that says, it would be interesting to see what happens if Kyle is found innocent. Not just in how people will respond and react to that, but the course of his life over time. Because if he's found innocent here, he's going to become a darling of the far right. And he will have that choice whether to take that propulsion and ride that wave into greater leadership within that beliefs, or whether he's going to walk away and go to the bar and get caught in a t-shirt that says I did it. I did it and I got off. I don't know if you've seen this piece. I guess he went to a bar in a t-shirt that
I didn't.
I forget what it said. It's not a very flattering experience, but there's memes already, right? Him crying on the stand in court is being seen as an actor's play. But there's pictures of him wearing a t-shirt that basically brags about it all, posing for pictures with other people in a bar.
Wow.
It's
and now here's an interesting thing about this whole thing to me. They were at a Black Lives Matter rally after the shooting of Blake, right?
Right.
Jacob Blake.
Yep.
The three victims of this guy's shooting were white. Let's just be clear about that. He didn't kill two black people and shoot a black person. He killed two white guys and shot another white guy. And even in that, they're still trying to portray this cat. I mean, if there were black people they shot, oh my God, this child would have been over. In my mind, I mean, not that death is death, right? We're not making light of that at all. But it just if they can try to hide behind some racist impression of what justice looks like, and you can kill your own, if you will, then in my mind, there's a problem in this system that needs to be addressed.
Yeah. I would encourage anyone that truly wants to see justice brought back to the American justice system to watch this trial and pay attention to what's going to happen. It looks like they will have a verdict for us, or they will send this to the jury, but no later than Tuesday is what it's sounding like. So we could have a verdict in this by the end of next week. It could drag on for more I got a feeling they got some weird lottery system too, that not everybody that's in the jury box is going to be in the jury or something like that. And I got a feeling whoever ends up in that room is going to want to get home for Thanksgiving. So again, we have biases. The jury will feel pressure to come to a verdict as rapidly as possible, because they're going to want to get home. They don't want to be stuck in a hotel. They don't want to be stuck doing this for 2-3 weeks in over the holidays. I'm almost positive of it.
Wow.
Anyway, folks, we don't try to pretend that we're going to solve all the problems, but we do believe that we raise the questions. And I know I've got a few more things to add to my prayer work today and my prayer book today. Our super fan, Linda Plaster, says, I go back to the SOM, we believe statements. We believe in the healing of the sick and the control of conditions through the power of the mind. Yes, absolutely. And that's what does the work for me alone. And when I do that work for me, yes, it influences the one and the whole. Yes. And I am also always led to whatever the inspired action is, to not just sit on my cushion, but to do what is necessary, whether that's marching in the streets, writing to our politicians, making a phone call, or just going deeper into prayer and meditation. Yeah. We have a spiritual solution to all these human problems. Mm-hmm. But I believe we also need to shine light on these problems in order to raise more awareness and more consciousness of what we are praying for.
Yep. Amen.
Z, final thoughts, my brother?
Let's pray that everyone's mind's open to a different way of living that is supportive of all life.
Yeah, that I like. Hey, folks, if you'd like to share a comment, have an idea for us, would like to see a specific guest on this program, or just want to tell us that we're full of it, give us an email, ministertalk@ntmedia.org. We'll be happy to respond if appropriate. And if you sign it, we don't respond to anonymous comments. So anyway, we're going to get out of here. There's a full lineup of wonderful broadcasting and programming throughout the day this week, throughout the day and throughout the weekend. Please keep on coming back and join us again and again and again. Until next time, peace.
Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, for your continued support. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown Atlanta, for your monthly contribution. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, for your monthly contribution. And Suze Hodgson, thank you for